Howdy everyone, my name's Elizabeth and today I'm going to be discussing my topic of what I'm calling honey happiness, how florals lead to flavor. And I hope you don't mind bee puns because this is going to be interesting. So, some introduction first is we'll be talking about Apis mellifera. So, this is the Western honeybee, and it's a busy bee with a big impact, as we'll learn. Real quick, just a guide to scientific naming is first you want to start out with the genus. This is Apis, and it's always capitalized and italicized, the genus. And this is the genus to what the honeybee belongs. And which is Apis. And then next you're going to do the species, which is always italicized but not capitalized. And it's the type of bee within the Apis genus. So now that we've gotten through that, why should you care? Well, the honeybees do so much more than just make honey. They play such a huge role in our ecosystem and agriculture. I mean, there's so much that relies on them, and they play such a big role in this giant puzzle piece. And we really would not be able to accomplish, and things would not be able to run smoothly like they do in the environment without them. Next up, honeybees are foragers, which is pretty cool if you ask me. This pretty much just means that they gather nectar and pollen and they transfer it between flowers, which in turn fertilizes plants. So that's also pretty cool because this ends up resulting in the reproduction of a bunch of flowering species. And if you didn't know, majority of flowering plants actually rely on animal pollinators and honeybees. So that's pretty amazing. And it just so happens that almost 30 to 50% of these animal pollinators are actually honeybees. So that's a big thing they'd be missing out on if we didn't have honeybees. Next is that they're extremely complex in their behaviors and they're social. Um, this is something that's really cool. A lot of people often overlook, but it's not just a little buzzing little dot. Like there's so much more to them. And finally, something that I really love is they produce honey, which is a natural sweetener many of us use if you use it in your tea, your honey, um, on breakfast. And there's many potential benefits from honey. So now that we've talked a little bit about them and why you should care, I want to discuss that today we'll be talking about how the behavior of honeybees has a direct, their foraging has a direct effect on the flavor profile and the properties that make up the honey that they produce. So bees visiting the different flowers that they visit, with each one having their own special unique composition, ends up varying the flavors. And these variables can have a ginormous impact on the final production of honey. So my question is, to what extent do these type of flowers foraged by bees influence the flavor profile of honey? Well, first I'm going to share with you some data that a scientist collected that shows just how many different types of honey there is from all these different sources. Not one is the same in all bunch of different locations. This is pretty awesome because it shows just how broad the range of honey is. And this is just a few from different florals bees have visited. So, because some can create floral hints, whilst others might be sweet or pungent. So this chart is just, I think, a really great demonstration of data that shows just how much this can vary from the floral's location, whatever they may come from. So another thing I'd really like to share is first you can take a look at this data that is the chemical compound that makes up honey that scientists have discovered. And this is a super unique thing because it starts with this base, but then it varies depending on what ends up being present in the honey. And this is reliant based on the process that and the different variables that played a role in the making of the honey, like temperature, pressure, sugar, etc. And this process, these different variables end up really diversifying honey, which is in turn changes and makes the flavors different. And if it's hard to understand, I included this great little flow chart that shows how honey kind of starts the same with the same composition, but depending on the process, it changes and you get different honey over time. So pretty cool. Next, I'm sharing something very eye-opening. These are both pieces of data from experiments that were done that showed how consumers felt about the different honeys. So as you can see, some people are very passionate about some. When they ranked them, they really liked them, or they really didn't. And as well as, yes, they have bought it in the last year, they haven't, or they've never bought it, or maybe they've never even heard of it, as you can see with that bottom one. So I think this is really telling of how the different florals really do impact the flavor because these consumers are clearly very, I mean, this is not in the middle. This is very, they one way direct answers or not. I mean, the data does not lie. So there's some drastic differences here from the certain honey. So this is a significant point, the link between florals and honey. So in conclusion, the process that takes place from a bee buzzing around a flower is pretty cool if you ask me. By foraging, bees not only create honey, but they also shed light on these diverse flavors of honey that are a direct result of these different florals. So florals are directly impacting how your honey tastes, which is pretty cool to think about. Um, and the significance that I really got from this project were three things. On the link between flowers and honey flavor that I think is pretty valuable, be the consumers, beekeepers, and science. So the consumers, because they're the ones buying it, they're the ones keeping this, I mean, this field running. So and they and us, I clearly have strong preferences, so it's important to make informed choices and to know. And the beekeepers, because this affects their livelihoods, and they know they can optimize production by placing hives near desirable flowers with flavors. So, and finally, science, because this opens up the possibility of so much exploration and like possibly manipulating honey through floral selection and more. So here's my references, and that is the end. I hope you enjoyed my project. I had a lot of fun doing it. Um, Definitely, if anyone has any questions, reach out to me. I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed this project. Thank you.